as we come to Justin Pierce, I would comment, most of you know this is not Justin sitting up here at the table.
Looks like him.
This is Gary Pierce, his father. And Justin was committed to come, and he had some votes he needed to do down at the House, and so Gary had called, and we talked about he could come and speak for Justin, which is the same courtesy that was extended for Jeff Flake when he ran for Senate, and he had to be in Washington, D.C. And if you remember, Buster Johnson came and spoke for Jeff Flake. And it's far better than not showing up and just leaving a vacant hole. But in any event, I say again, I really appreciate you that did make the drive. I appreciate Gary making the drive. Maybe you didn't drive, you flew, but whatever you got here. But Justin is serving in the Arizona State Legislature and for District 25. He's a fifth-generation Arizonan, and he has been a graduate of law school, meaning he had an undergraduate degree. He has a background of experiences in the Secretary of State. On all of these bios, I'm reading from what I was provided, and he received a first-class education, it says, from a business college at Arizona State University, now known as the W.P. Carey School of Business and Law, from one of the highest-ranking schools in the United States, Georgetown University Law Center. He has clerked for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He is currently serving as a lawyer with the national law firm and is a partner therein. And excuse me. And again, I'm abbreviating this. And he has lived in different parts of the state with his parents, including Yuma and back in the Maricopa County area. So we welcome Gary Ute to speak for Justin.
Thank you. I'm a member here, so did I. Thank you, Martin. I want you to know Martin Swante's here, he's back here, and Martin and I, for those who know my background with Martin, he was one of my dad's really close friends. They're just months apart. My dad, though, passed away quite a while ago, in 1988, and Martin's been a good friend to Justin, and we appreciate. I'm glad he's here. He's not in San Diego right now because I let him know I was going to be here. And also here is my son Kyle, who's my youngest, and Kyle is actually the one who does do a lot of the things with the campaign and keeps our schedule straight. And I just want you to let you know, Justin would have loved to have been here, but last week he had the great honor to be invited to speak at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. And there were 10 under 40. He's 39 in a couple months, and he's just over 39. He was 10 under 40, 10 individuals nationwide selected for this honor of most conservative leaders and invited to speak. And so he spoke just after Chris Christie and just before Bobby Jindal. He was squeezed right into the middle. As a matter of fact, I read a national article that said Justin Pierce spoke, and they're mentioning Reagan, how many times Reagan was, and it said he also did as he introduced Bobby Jindal, which he did not introduce Bobby Jindal. He had his own speech in his own right. And it is a pleasure to be here with you and with Michelle, and my friend Michelle, and Doug Ducey and Scott Smith. And I've known them all quite a while. Michelle and Scott the longest, Doug since he ran for treasurer 4 years ago. And for Richard, who's let me spend the night at his house before, and Rita, great hosts. It's good to be here with so many people and so many people that supported Justin. He was here for the Mohave County Picnic, for the county fair, and he's been at some other events here as well. So thank you so much for the kindness you've given us. Now, there's a flyer on your table, and I'm going to tell you about Justin a little bit, but I'm going to tell you things that aren't on here. Justin grew up the oldest of my 4 sons. I don't have any daughters. Sherry and I are very proud parents, and Sherry would be here too, so she took a job working for Congressman Salmon when he won his congressional seat back after sitting out all those years. And so she's there. And she sends her love. She's grateful. When we campaigned 4 years ago and 8 years ago, you were so good to us. We won we won Mohave County primary and general election every time. So thank you. And I'm leaving in 10 months, and I will not be afraid to come back and work and help our candidates in any way I can. I don't want to be in leadership anymore. I just want to be a worker bee and help and use the things that I know how to do to help our friends get elected. Justin was a great student in school. He grew up really in school, Sierra Vista, and then primarily in Yuma. Graduated from Cibola High School, competed with teams up and down the river, as the Yuma schools did. So he's been in Kingman and Lake Havasu on the other side in California, on their side as well, competing growing up. He was a high jumper, a football player, basketball player. And how high did he jump? 6'2". Not great, but a lot higher than I average, a high jump. But I was a distance runner. Justin did well in academics as well. He plays guitar like a professional. He went off to school. He has a degree in accounting, has a degree in law, just like the good mayor here does. Justin was my right hand in business when I was in the new car business, and then I had used car operations. I could send him to the auctions, and that young man knew how to buy and sell. And he could buy inventory. I trusted him to write some very, very large checks on inventory, and when he made a mistake, he was very good about figuring it out, turning it around, and running it back through and getting off of it. And if anyone who knows what that means in an auction, I mean, yeah, well, no, in a wholesale environment, Mayor, not in a retail environment, in a wholesale environment. You make a mistake, it's buyer beware on that wholesale market. But he would figure it out before he put it on a truck and sent it back to where we were. He'd figure it out, and before the auction was over, run it right back through and bail out of it. We may lose money, but that's the best loss you can make if you understand business. You got to turn that money. And that's what Justin was really good at. And that's why I think he flowed towards business, and he is more of a business attorney. He works with business, Fortune 500 companies, with cities and towns throughout the state on their employment issues. He does training. You look at what the Secretary of State does. They are a repository of records, and they have the notary publics, and all those things that he does in the filings he does on behalf of business every day in his legal profession. He uses the Secretary of State's office and the Corporation Commission as well in creating LLCs and the types of things that he helps folks get done. When it comes to investigations, in 1990 down in San Luis, there were some real voting irregularities, and Jim Buster, who was a Republican, upset the Democrat Jones Osborne, and we sent a Republican to the state senator from Yuma County, first time ever, and we saw as the irregularities at that time. So in '92, we sent folks down there to monitor, and the Justice Department actually sent lawyers down there to fight us over that. I will tell you this, in 1990, Justin, I think, was a freshman or sophomore. He actually did the cleanup of all of our voter regs. How many of you have been our precinct committeeman in here? Okay. Justin, how many of you have been a precinct committeeman for more than 20 years? Okay, I have, and Justin has. Justin's been a precinct committeeman since about 3 months after he turned 18. He was elected precinct committeeman. But he helped in that earlier election on Symington's, it was when he was elected, doing get out the vote. In that 1990 elections that were the San Luis irregularities, we started seeing, and we actually had the U.S. Attorney come down in 1994, whoever did Janet Napolitano, and she found no irregularities down in San Luis. But the reality is, you talk about P.O. boxes, we have more P.O. boxes than residences in San Luis. So, than registered voters and residences, and so it is an issue. But it's one that Justin can do and understands. He's done investigations, particularly into personnel matters, and some of the highest levels in government agencies and in these Fortune 500 companies where you have an issue with fraud or something else that's going on that has to be examined. And he's done those and actually overseen those with other attorneys that are flowing through these organizations to go through documents, all the things that they have to do to see where there's an issue. And he certainly is going to be able to do that as the chief elections officer and as an attorney. If we have a Democrat Attorney General who refuses to investigate, he can get that job done. He can go to the legislature and get the funding necessary to make sure the Secretary of State's office has the legislative authority and the legal authority to do those investigations that will need to be done. When it comes to who's most qualified to be governor, who knows sometimes. I sometimes wonder how we end up where we're going to end up. All I can say is I know that from his background, Justin was an Eagle Scout. All 4 of my sons are Eagle Scouts, by the way. But he was the first, and Kyle was the last, so I couldn't say all 4 of them. But I looked at what his Eagle Scout project was, which was a Christmas. He did Christmas for a crisis center for women and abused women and children. And I look at how he attended to that. And also when he was an accounting student at ASU, and he was in charge of their community service. And their community service was a crisis center in Phoenix. And then when he was in law school at Georgetown, and he was in a clinic, a law clinic, and that was their primary focus was, it was for at-risk women. And he actually was able to prosecute individuals that battered women. And I thought, holy cow, Justin, you're going to Georgetown and you're going to go in that kind of law and you're going to have debt forever. So that's not the law he practices. But I know that he thinks and has a heart. He understands business, and he's prepared himself for a long, long time to be able to lead through the things he did as a young man working on elections. I watched him work on 91 congressional election when Mo Udall resigned, and we had a special election, if you remember that. We almost won that for the Republican because Justin and 8 of his high school buddies, girls and guys, cleaned through those old, you see these long, big data sheets of all the voters with their phone numbers, and the phone numbers wouldn't be good. We didn't have early voting lists like we do now. You had to call them, you had tear sheets, you had to get them out. And those guys cleaned them up for 2 months all summer so that we could nearly win that congressional seat. And we did. 6,000 votes was all we lost to Ed Pastor by in that first one. And we'd have kept it because there was a redistricting year coming in. That was a special election in 91. The legislature was carving districts then, and they'd have carved that so that so that Ed Pastor would have not had. We'd had one less Democrat district, is what I'm saying. So that's the work Justin's done. He's broken his pick, so to speak, as a worker in the party. He's done the job at the legislature, and that's one to cover. In 2012, we rewrote the personnel rules in this state. Now the state can start treating things with personnel more like a business. Because of his experience with employment law, he wrote a lot of and authored a lot of that bill. In procurement, he did the same thing last year in rewriting a lot of that and got it passed. This year, House Bill 2316, you talk about Carmen Corps. This is from my district chairman, an email sent out to my district. It says, House Bill 2316 just passed the House and on its way to the Senate. House Bill 2316 is an education bill that helps protect student privacy and prohibits the Arizona Department of Education from applying for any federal grants that have strings attached to adopt standards of curriculum. Many of you have actively been involved in getting this to pass. Thank you for your work on this piece of legislation. And it passed. Who authored that legislation? Justin Pierce did. And so I tell you, that's where he is. He doesn't play it safe. He does what needs to be done. He'll make a great Secretary of State, and he's prepared to be whatever we need him to be in this state. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have a